Can begin. All right, Grand Rising, everyone. This is Ron. We start off with questions on yesterday. Excuse me, please excuse me. I'm getting ahead of myself. It is Sunday, July 5th, 2026, a little after 11 a.m. Okay? But again, do we have any questions or comments? Yesterday, Pastor explained the Ankh, and what that means, where the origin of it, uh, the symbols, and we talked about the masculinity and the femininity of it. We talked about it in relationship to the historical value of where it came from and how it was copied by the cross and what that means in the symbols in the church, the layout of the church, and all those things, feminine, masculine energy, what that had to do with the Ankh being us coming to uh, seeing it as a symbol of life and self-awareness. So, and again, as always, I'm skipping some of the details, but anyone else that may have questions, please feel free at this time. Questions and or comments.
I have a comment.
Yes, ma'am.
Um, Not on anything we did yesterday. Um, I got a photo from a news release, Rutgers, of a black young lady on a bus in DC going to I don't think she was going, but the bus was full of white supremacists. And
Hmm.
the photographer from Rutgers who shot it, I thought it was a really powerful picture because she's looking dead straight at him, and the other are turned away and their face are covered in white masks. And I thought that was just a powerful, it just really struck me when I saw the photo, and I just wanted to comment on that.
Okay. What did it mean to you, if you don't mind asking?
I felt like it really showed the power of femininity.
Okay.
She didn't seem scared. She was just like, okay, I'm here. They're here. I just, I don't know how to put it into words, but it really moved me, the strength
Hmm.
that was shown in that photo.
Okay. Thank you, Camille. Thank you for sharing. Anyone, any comments?
Yeah, Divine Rising, everyone. Yeah, I appreciate Vermel what you just said in terms of, you know, your reception of what you saw. And I think as a reflection of our awareness with regards to the reception or the visual images that we see and how it impacts on us. And when you mentioned what you just did, it made me thought about a teacher's conclave that we had where we had saw a female, walk up the
Hmm.
pole,
Yeah.
and so sometimes there's things that we all are saying that gives us an appreciation of what's put out there in the macro. So I just wanted to share that thought, and thank you, Vermel, for sharing that with us. I'm done.
Talk about that poll though, George. For those who don't know, what was the background on that? Remember?
Oh, well, I mean, it was, at a time I think that we were having a discussion, and for a moment, I think it might have been one of James' daughters, I can't recall, that mentioned that something was on TV.
Yeah.
And I think we kind of paused for a minute and just look at the power of feminine energy. You had those guards who were around the pole, and I believe it was in Washington, I believe. But at the same time, again, it was just so powerful because we saw the power of this woman who was not afraid in the presence of domination, you know what I mean, and
Yeah. Yeah.
authority, where she needed to just, move by her spirit to do something to say that this needs to be acknowledged. And so I think there were others who might have been aware of it, but that's just how I sensed it, Ron.
And I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I really didn't. I it was very powerful. Pastor, do you want to talk about it? It actually happened in South Carolina. Is where that was. But Pastor, you want to? Because I
I'm
agree with
simply
you.
going to say,
That was very powerful, huh?
I'm simply going to say what you did. It happened in South Carolina, what you did.
Yeah,
Confederate flag now. That's all.
yeah. She went up to take that flag down, and that was very powerful. And
That much.
yes, ma'am.
I'll let you finish, Ron.
I'm done. I was just thinking that that's a great comparison to what we were discussing, the feminine energy that just it brazenly does what needs to be done.
Thank you. One of the, what George said reminded me of our meeting at Pastor's house, actually. And we had just talked about the Confederate flag, and we had said the flag is going to come down. The flag, no. We didn't say gonna come. We said the flag is down. That that was our determination after
Yeah,
discussion. The flag is down, and not moments later, uh, one of Pastor's daughters, I can't remember exactly who it was. I don't know if it was mine, came in and said, "Look at TV. Let's look at TV." And what we saw was the actuality of what we'd spoken in the spiritual beforehand. That this black woman went up the pole and removed the flag. Thank you.
went up the pole and took down the flag. That was powerful. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful.
The other thing, I'm sorry, I'm not sorry. Forgive me.
It was the money. What I saw with what Vermeer raised was a depiction of the 16-year-old young lady who was on the bus in Alabama, not Rosa Parks, but the young lady last name Coven, who was on the who was arrested for refusing to move from her seat. That brought the young lady sitting there in the midst of those white supremacists, brought that back to mind. Different era, different outcome. Outcome from Alabama was the bus boycott. Outcome from this is the resurgence of feminine energy in the earth to bring balance to humanity. That's what I. Would you make sure your phones are muted, please? But that's what I took from that, Ron.
Okay,
That
May I add something?
resonates.
that does resonate. That's beautiful. Very
May
powerful.
I add something?
Yes, of
Hello?
course. Yes, of course.
Thank you. As Vermeer described that, what I saw was power structure of white men. Again, I saw the strength Vermeer felt. Power structure of white men against feminine energy. And it says to me that there is no power that's going to overtake anything that's aligned with the truth of feminine energy and its role, along with masculine energy, of course, but its role in spiritual things. So it doesn't matter how many men, it doesn't matter how they're dressed, it doesn't matter what their mindset is. If they are not aligned with the truth of feminine energy and what it provides and the strength that it is and the fact that it created everything, it will not prevail. Thank you.
Thank you. Of
Can I make a statement, Ron?
course. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I was the picture that Vermeer was talking about. I was looking at that yesterday, and the thing that stood out to me most, because I looked at a lot of pictures because they were just coming across like my news feed. But one of the things that kind of stood out to me was one, they had signs that said "Reclaim America," and now mind you, all these white men marching down the street, all of them are masked, and because all of them are cowards and they don't want to show their face. But at the same time, that stood out to me as well, especially when they were on that train or whatever it was with that the black woman. Here it is, she's surrounded by white men who are talking about reclaiming America, and she's sitting there basically unfazed in all her blackness, unmasked, just for everybody to see. Now all of them, they outnumber her, but they're all in their mask. And the thing that stood out, and I saw so much power in that, the fact that she's sitting there unfazed, she's not afraid, and she's kind of like looking at them like they're cowards because they're sitting there and they all have their masks on and they all outnumber her. And then the thing that I thought about the most was, like, from what we've talked about and what we learned, like, there's reasons why they don't show their face. One, because they don't want to lose their jobs and stuff like that, and they don't want people to know who they are. And it made me think about, these are the same people that you may come in contact with that may be working behind the scenes trying to do things and vote and do all these things to keep to basically keep their agenda going and forward their agenda. But at the same time, I felt like it was like when I saw her, it was like there's nothing they can do to change what's already taking place. And so I just felt that was powerful, just seeing her in the midst of all that. You got all these men thinking that they need to reclaim America. At the same time, she's unfazed. And so that was just something that kind of came to mind.
Yeah, yeah, that's beauty. That's beauty. That's balance. Amidst all that chaos, she brings balance to the universe. In the midst of all of that, she has more energy than anybody on there. You know, that's awesome. Love that. Anyone else?
Keep in mind that America's greatest power source and authority is white men. And
Yeah.
supposed to be the weakest and most disparaged vessel is the African woman. And here we have an African female child sitting in the midst of all of this so-called power and authority that's supposed to be frightening and disturbing, and she's unfazed.
Unfazed.
So that speaks volumes. And that is one of the reasons I do believe that we should remain optimistic even when people who look like us are saying the things that the Haitians and the people from their continent are saying in regards to us.
Yeah.
They are that tells us that the whole world has been encapsulated by the deception of the European mindset, and it is what it speaks more of what we have to get done in terms of maintaining the course that we're on, and it also speaks to something else too. The whole concept of deception that we live in the midst of every day. Like, this is something that sounds so simple. It's NASA. NASA in the Hebrew means to deceive. So, and then when you look at everything in regards to the universe, well, not the universe, but the heavenlies, we see all of these depictions of the earth itself, which is also deceiving. How many times have you seen a photo from NASA that shows satellites in the around the Earth, even though there are thousands of satellites around the Earth when these photos are taken. So why do I mention that? I mention that because things as simple as that, or as seemingly as simple as that, is also deceptive. So when you see things that don't have to be deceiving, yet they are, is there anything real in this earth at all that has been put forth by that mindset? Is this a part of a spiritual mindset that is used as a catalyst to push us to a place where the divine mindset, the principles of Mayat, are brought to the forefront out of necessity, with the energy of the universe exerting itself to the extent that it's going to force us to be who we are, whether we choose to or not. At some point, some generation is going to get fed up to the point where they are going to become who they were created to be. And I think this is a depiction of that beginning. I'm done.
Yeah, I agree.
I have another, if I may, another comment regarding what you said about the Ankh originally, and also what you said, Ron, in your summary. We talked about the Ankh yesterday and the fact that it depicted balance between duality also. But
Yeah.
you mentioned that the cross, Pastor mentioned yesterday, the cross was later, I guess, development by Christians of the original Ankh. The Ankh is round at the top, and where balance occurs is at the intersection of those two poles, the vertical and the horizontal. In the
Yeah.
cross, the horizontal poles don't go anywhere. But if you look at the Ankh, right at the intersection where everything is, it has the opportunity to go right back into that circle of balance. And so in the cross, you just see a dissimilarity between, if you look at masculine energy on one pole and feminine energy on the other, and they are divergent, and they remain that way. But in the Ankh, that's where the balance occurs. And so the picture that Vermeil talked about yesterday, and then I believe it just indicated also that that's balance in picture form.
Yes.
It doesn't matter how many men who are masked, who are whatever, and whatever their mindset. So that one feminine energy representative balanced everything.
Yes. Couldn't agree more. You're exactly right. Balance. Balance. Good discussion.
Yeah, and Ron, in reference to what Barbara just stated, when we talk about the Ankh, it speaks of balance, it speaks of harmony. And when we think about, the representation of what the Ankh means, it gives us that understanding in terms of the marriage between Isis and Osiris. And when we begin to appreciate that marriage and that union in terms of the opposites being in harmony and unity, it further gives us, that awareness again in terms of the power of symbols. And they say what, like a picture is worth 1,000 words, and it's like, 1,000 words is like a symbol. And so the symbol of the the symbols or the things that we see, definitely has spiritual connotation with it. So I just wanted to share those thoughts. I'm done.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you, George.
Can I make another statement, Ron?
Of course. Yes.
I was thinking about something that Pastor said like a while back, and he was saying that the European mindset fears basically fears that the day that Black consciousness wakes up and that we wake up, and they also fear that we would do them the same way that they've done us, and history has shown that we won't. But at the same time, I was thinking about something the other day, and I thought about it. In order for us to wake up as a collective, I think what we're doing here and our desires speeds up that process. But at the same time, for the rest of the masses, it is going to be an uncomfortable experience. But at the same time, I thought about growing pains and things that happen when you grow, and that you feel the aches and the things like that. But at the same time, we know it's for the good of humanity. And I was just thinking about what I wanted my desires to be, and just trying to direct that energy. And I thought about it, and I said, whatever it takes, Creator, for us to wake up as a people, even if it's hard, even if it's some things that we got to go through that we're not going to really be comfortable with, I'm okay with that. And I just kind of thought about that, and I was like, okay, that's my desire. And I just kind of left it alone. But at the same time, I started thinking in the back of my mind, I started thinking about, okay, what is that going to encompass? What is that going to detail? That may be, I may not want that, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I'm like, if it takes that, if it takes us being uncomfortable, if it takes it getting worse before it gets better, I'm okay with that. As long as we all return to who we're supposed to be, I'm okay with that. And I just wanted to kind of make that statement.
Yeah, I'm being uncomfortable has become our comfort. Yeah, a good observation, Don. Anyone else? I think I saw something anyway that I want to bring up, and how it concludes, I don't know yet. I want to make sure we're done with this, because this is a different topic that we're going to look at. It. Anybody else, any questions or comments? I don't want to go too fast or move off something that we need to discuss. I want to share something with you. I am looking in Genesis, okay? Genesis chapter 1. And a couple things I want to talk about there. Genesis chapter 1, starting in verse 1. It says, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth was formless and void, and darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was moving over the surface of the water. And God said, let there be light, and there was light. And God saw that the light was good, and God separated the light from the darkness. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And there was evening, and there was morning one day. Then God said, let there be an expanse in the midst of the waters, and let it separate the waters from the waters. And God made the expanse and separated the waters which were below from the expanse from the waters which are above the expanse, and it was so. And then something I wanted to tie it to. In chapter 2 of Genesis, starting with verse 5, it says, now I go to verse 4. Now, this is the account of the heavens and the earth, and they were created in the days the Lord God made earth and heaven. Now, no shrub in the field was yet in the earth, and no plant in the field had yet sprouted, for the Lord God had not sent rain upon the earth, and there was no mist, there was no man to cultivate the ground. But the mist used to raise from the earth and watered the whole surface of the ground. Then God formed man from the dust of the ground. I want to say that, but I want to come back to it. But the mist used from the used to raise from the earth and water the whole surface of the ground. And then the Lord God made man from the dust of the ground. If the mist watered the ground, where does the dust come from? I think this is talking about the relationship between feminine and masculine energy. And it is showing that the masculine energy is energized with the energy or the purpose that it's supposed to be based on what the female need is, what the feminine energy need, not the female, the feminine energy is needed. But I want to come back to that. Uh, I think one of the things I've thought about over the last couple of months that we have been discussing is feminine energy, of course. And I'm looking at how, why, and when will the cosmic mother take a throne? Because it cannot be taken by force. And I think I see something in this, and to say that the time is now, and when I mean now, I mean right now, that this is to take place. Uh, the Bible is a bunch of frozen words, frozen in time. And part of this we've talked about. It's frozen in time because it was not, the creation story has yet to be unfolded. And these words are being brought to life as we speak. You are the creators. We are the creators of the scripture. And it is not in the form that we think it is, because as we have discussed, the scriptures have been manipulated, but that does not matter. It is being protected for the purpose of those who are seeking truth will be the only ones who can see the disguise of what is there. So it is made for the purpose of a time like this and a people like this who would give anything to move to the place where they will give any part of themselves to see what truth looks like. So when it talks about God created the heavens and the earth, you, the people on this phone, are the heavens and the earth. You are the heavens and the earth. You are the enlightenment that is being uncovered. When we talk about the cosmic mother, when we put that in perspective and see what that means and who we are, that is the heaven. You are the earthly part because we are a part of this. You are the beginning and the end. You are the Alpha and Omega. This is not talking about a time, a place, or history. This is talking about us right now who bend our hearts on this line to become what we're supposed to be. And when it talks about the earth was formless and void, it is formless and void because it had not been made yet into what it was supposed to be. It is no different than going into a kitchen and pouring your desire to make a cake, and you're pouring the flour and the milk and the batter and everything into this bowl, and you have yet to mix it. It is formless. It is void. It is not what it's supposed to be. It is not what it's supposed to look like. And until the baker puts forth his energy and his love, because anybody can mix up that batter, but it doesn't taste right if you don't have the desire and the love to bake the cake the way have a love for the people who are going to eat the cake, so that when they taste it, they taste you in the cake, not just the batter. So the any questions so far? Because I'm hopefully this will make sense.
Continue on along that line with the cake and its
Okay.
what it
Yeah,
represents.
the formless and the void what will this thing look like? Because as we have discussed yesterday, when we talked about the layout of the church, when we talked about the cross versus the ankh, all of this stuff is trying to duplicate what true reality is supposed to look like and supposed to feel like. When we talked about artificial intelligence, all of this is supposed to be a duplicate of things that they being negative energy does not know how to create, does not know how, and the thought of it is this can be duplicated. Well, no, it cannot. You can make things to look like it. You can make things that make you feel intelligent, but you can not duplicate spirituality. You cannot influence life. And I'm gonna come back to the on the surface of the deep. I want to come back to that. But here's the beautiful part of it that I want to tie in first, and then I'll come back to that. It says, "Let there be an expanse in the midst." I'm at verse 6. "Let there be an expanse in the midst of the water, and let it separate the waters from the water." And God made the expanse and separated the waters. Okay, this is not uh a roof being put on a house. This is not anything to contain anything. When I see this, I think of music. Music. What is being done is you're getting an expanse. You're getting something, a covering, if you will, of sort, a covering to hold the energy, a covering that is going to make what we are calling the macro, that gives everyone an opportunity to feel the expression of the vibrations and the rhythm of the music being truth. And you say, well, what is the water? We've laid the water out for some time now. When Pastor first talked about the pineal gland and the liquid that goes down the spine, the water is internal. It is your liquids inside of you that determines your feelings and emotions. When we desire these things, when you say, I feel that, that is based on what is internal. So this expanse, if you will, is musical. It's the truth that you feel, the expressions that we get, and we put it out there for everybody. So this is talking about the journey of completing creation, giving a place for man who desires to seek truth, to get away from these artificial things that has been built for you, that this cross that tries to look like the ankh, this AI that's supposed to look like the heart and the spirit of man. This is giving you a glimpse of what truth actually looks like. So when you look at when you look at this energy that we call Abraham and this journey that he's on, the scripture says this. The scripture says, I have not called it to rain because there's not a man to till the ground. Abraham and Sarah represent that energy. Tilling the ground, God says to him, I will give you every place you put your foot. We're talking about consciousness here. There has been no one to turn over the ground. There's been no one to cultivate consciousness. We're talking about the things you value, the truth that you desire. There's been no one to show man that this is what is valuable to you. You do not have to chase those things that are artificial. So as we look at Abraham and you see the journey that he takes, and you may even say, well, Sarah played a minor role. No, she didn't. Beauty means balance. And no matter how they tried to manipulate that, beauty means balance. And what it shows to me, just like the Spirit of God on the surface of the deep. I look at that, if and this is how I see it, and we can talk this out. All of this, of course, can be talked out. I see this as masculinity protecting femininity. Femininity is the deep. You do not see anywhere where it says God created water. The womb was here. The cosmic mother was here, and she's represented by the darkness of the deep, the unknown of the deep. That is the womb, and nothing comes out of that. And the God that is above that, protecting it, is the masculinity protecting the feminine. He is the provider. He is the hunter-gatherer. That is what Abraham is. And all the places that you see that he comes up against, that energy comes up against resistance, is those external things that try to bring us back into the fold, try to bring us back into religion. We are creators, and we are creating the place for the cosmic mother to take the throne. And it has not for everybody, but it will be the Cabelonian, it'll be the African, it'll be the black man and woman who have denied who they are, that will cry out. And that will be the time that the cosmic mother takes her throne, because it cannot be done by force. So I got a couple more things, but let's talk a minute and see if this makes sense to you.
So, Sarah, the scripture says that the light was in Sarah's tent rather, which means that the source of enlightenment is femininity.
Yes.
And it is said also that when Sarah transitioned, the light went out in her tent, which means that enlightenment escaped humanity, because the only thing that was left was masculinity. It didn't die in terms of what we call death. It ceased to be recognized by humanity, or to be seen. So are we saying that when that light went out, it is tantamount to what happened to the Cabelonian when it was infiltrated by masculinity? Is this a foretelling of the experience that we have had?
You know what, Pastor? I had not seen that portion, but yes, I would agree with that statement. Yes, sir.
So that being a foretelling of what we've experienced, with it being revealed to us now from the foundation that you are laying and the structure that we're beginning to see take place, is it that the light is on again in Sarah's tent? Is it that the enlightenment of femininity has become real to us? Are we remembering that enlightenment, and the thing that we once thought was enlightenment was masculinity masquerading as femininity? And that is one of the reasons that we have such harsh treatment towards homosexuality, the two spirits being one in one place. Yeah. So now that we are seeing it for what it is, there is no such thing as homosexuality as it has been espoused by Christianity, but it is a spiritual essence of the merging, of the unicity, of the unity of masculinity and femininity in physical form. An image of that in physical form. I'm not saying that the masculine, the homosexual is the spiritual essence. I'm saying that it is a form of
Yeah.
the merging of the two. I'm saying that now that the light is on, we're beginning to see everything for what it is, as opposed to what we thought it was.
Yes, sir. It is an expression that of energy that we have not allowed to take form. We have doused our doubts and our hatred on it, and it is yet to take form. Uh, and we don't know, in my opinion, the full magnitude of what it can and should be in the earth.
I let me say this, and it's not directed only at you, Ron, but at all of us. Let's not use the word my opinion
Okay.
as opposed to my belief or what I see or know. Why? Because when we start talking about what my opinion is, that speaks differently than what my beliefs are.
Yeah.
So our opinion sort of individualizes it. So let's try to watch our vocabulary so that we can impart the energy of what we're trying to say.
That that speaks to uh sometimes my lack of confidence, because let's face it, we've been out of the book for a very long time. And things come to you. It's like, wow, does that really, so you're exactly right though.
Um, I see everything that you're saying in terms of us um, creating the consciousness of the earth, as well as embracing the consciousness of that which is above.
Yes.
I see that, and that speaks to the spirit that infuses the earth consciousness by way of the vertical stem of the Ankh.
Yeah.
And because of that spiritual infusion from the womb of femininity, we are bringing into what, as you said, the macro, what we're actually doing is introducing to humanity the true essence and experience of what spirituality is, as opposed to this pseudo thing that we call spirituality, simply because you're shouting in a church or you feel the words of a song, as opposed to the reality of what the spiritual nature is.
Yes, sir. I see that.
Nick, what is it?
Can I make a comment real quick?
Of course. Yes, sir.
I was watching something a couple of days ago, and it's kind of, well, I'm not gonna say ironic. I mean everything happens for a reason, and so this particular thing that I was watching, it was talking about Kemet in Africa, and how times have changed based on, as far as colonialism and different things, and they were talking about there was a time where words meant something, and through this whole, it was like an hour long, this documentary, and the only time they quoted scripture was they used Genesis, and they used the exact same verse that Ron just read. and I thought it was funny, and so when I started listening to it, and I don't ever do this, I was like, let me get my pen and pad. I think I'm gonna write down some notes some notes or some thoughts as I listen to this. And so as I listened to it, it spoke about how the Creator spoke and things would manifest, and things were created through speech. And it talked about how the power of our words create realities and different things. And so one of the notes that one of the thoughts that came to my mind as I was listening to this was, to speak is to shape, to name is to activate, to declare is to direct the flow of reality. And I was thinking, like, the more I listened to it, the more I would think about things that we had talked about in class, and how we create. And one time, Pastor had talked to us about, be careful what we say, and because we create these things and we speak things into existence. And so when I think about what Ron was saying, all this happened, like the creation of the world, it all happened through speech. And that's why I think when I think about the church and how we talk about the manipulation of the scriptures, and then we talked about how the English language is about spells and things like that. And so my thing, and since I watched that video, I have been careful to watch my words and watch what I say, because I realize that I'm speaking things into existence. And sometimes, and this is hard for me, sometimes I have to just shut the hell up and don't say anything, because I realize that my words are creating the reality that I want, or the reality that I don't want. And then at the same time, I began to look at it where if I hold my words and I don't speak, if the power builds up, and then when I finally say something and I make sure I'm standing with the right intentions, and does it magnify? And like, because we have been so accustomed, and especially when Ron mentioned music, and I had saw something they were talking about this artist. It's this song, this all over the radio, and the song is about stealing, but it's a number one. It's like on the top 10. And this well-known singer spoke about it and said, basically that just shows where we are as a people. This song is popular, and everybody gave her a heck about it. But some people were like, "No, she's right." And then I thought about it, and like in the documentary that I watched, it said the words are frequency, and that sound is frequency. And so when Ron was talking about sound, and I thought about how we use our words, and if that is frequency, the things that we speak matter, the things that we say matter. And so, like, even when I feel my worst, I know not to say it, because I'm speaking that as a reality. And so some days I feel bad, and I say I feel great, and in a little while I will. And because I realize that I am shaping my reality, and that the things that we want to happen and to shape in this world, we got to speak those things. And so I was just thinking about that, and it just kind of, what Ron said made it all make sense. Thank you, Ron.
Thank you, Don. That makes all the sense in the world. There were two people by. I didn't know if Nick had something to say, but I know GC had something. Nick, did you have?
Nope.
Okay. Thank you. George, did you have something you want to share with us?
Ron, yes. So you were speaking about the waters, and it made me, reflect in terms of the Ankh. The Ankh, as Pastor mentioned, she, talked about the key of life.
Mm-hmm.
But another, interpretation or point of emphasis, it talks about, the key of the Nile.
Okay.
And when we talk about the key of the Nile, we're talking again about the eternal waters of the Nun, but it says that the Nile is the longest river in the world. And so I know we had some discussion in the past in reference to what water represents. And so I think that, again, is not anything coincidental, but
Right.
we can see how the water plays a very important significance in terms of the human body. When we talk about the blood, we talk about, as you were saying, the fluidity in terms of just the flow. And so I just wanted to mention that, because that's also, a part of healing that the Ankh refers to. And I'm sure, again, Pastor will probably talk a little bit more about the healing, of the Ankh. But more importantly, I just wanted to, respond to the waters, as you mentioned earlier in Genesis chapter 1, verse 6. I'm done.
And George, but on that note, you bring me back to something I was going to come back to anyway. It is no coincidence that the waters, the midst watered the surface of the whole ground. Then why was man made from dust? Why was man made from dust? So when you look at that, uh, uh, that dust represents a limitation. That dust represents there's no life in this. So masculinity on its own has no authority. It has no life to it. Nothing grows out of dust. So watering it is what allows you to till the ground and bring forth life, bring forth something that has substance. So when you look at this, there is no coincidence. It is written like this. So when it talks about this and it prepares this thing, it prepares it. So what it is saying is, out of femininity, everything is going to grow. So it is no coincidence then that they tried to make it look like the man was giving birth to a woman. But that is not what that is saying at all. What that is saying, and that's why we went back to look at the seeds on the ground. He is nothing more than something that protects the seed while it is in the ground. So this is this birthing and that comes forth. He moves out of the way to give it life. So and you pull that together and move it all the way to taking a stronger look at Abraham. Abraham has a role here, and his role is not to be the king or the boss of anything. His role is to be, as I said the first time, the hunter-gatherer. Go out there and look at the field. Go out there and cultivate the ground. Go out there and bring forth consciousness. Bring forth the values of who we are. So we went back a few weeks ago, a few days ago, maybe a couple weeks ago, and we talked about birthright. The birthright was first talked about or discussed when we talked about the nomads. When you had priests, you didn't need to have this. But the nomads had a birthright. In other words, they were the priests. They were the head of the family. So the nomad is the one that took care of the family. The nomad is the one that made sure that everyone had what was needed. So when you look at this in a spiritual sense and see that who we are the nomads. We are the priests. And I say we, I'm still talking about this few gathering of people on this phone. We are a mixture of masculinity and femininity that came together, that recognizes that the femininity is the birthing part of this, is the energy of this. And what we do is what is needed is what we become. If the earth needs protection, if the earth needs a covering, that is who we are. If the earth needs righteous feeding, that is who we are. So when I say we are recreating, part of your birthright is to take care and be a covering. So, all the things over the last few years that we have revealed, all the things that we have recovered, all the things that has led up to this 4th of July celebration has been ushered in because you recognize your birthright. And your birthright is to bring truth and wisdom and love to the earth. And that is what we are doing. We are completing this.
Ashe.
You talked, Ashe, you talked about Abram. Abram had to become feminine before Abram could truly be masculine.
Yeah.
what am I saying? It was Abram, and it became Abraham when it embraced the spirit, right? And spirit is feminine.
Yes.
So to what I'm seeing in this is that the seed of masculinity cannot produce unless it becomes feminine. Moisture is feminine.
Yes.
The moisture, when you put a seed in the earth, the moisture is in the seed. That's why it grows. That's why the seed bursts.
Mm-hmm.
And without the moisture, which is feminine, the seed cannot even grow. So what I see with Abram/Abraham is that in order for us to be effective in doing what we were brought into the earth to do in terms of masculinity, we have to first become one with femininity. We have to become feminine in our thoughts, in our actions, in our desires, which means that we are the protectors, we are the hunter-gatherers, we are what it takes in order to make sure that femininity is able to do as it is designed or that it was created to do.
Yes. I like
So
that.
it is imperative that masculinity gathers its self-esteem, that it embraces its self-esteem as opposed to embracing its ego.
Yes.
The ego damages self-esteem. When we are able to keep the ego in check and at the same time maintain self-esteem, then that is when we are truly in unison or in unicity with femininity. And what has kept us from doing that is fear. Fear of being obsolete, fear of being weak. When Jesus was on the water, walked on the water, and Peter says, "May I come unto you?" And he said, "Yes." So save me, because Peter began to sink. Why? Because of fear. When you are afraid of losing your sense of self, which is ego, which is really not who you are, when you're afraid of being obsolete, it is impossible for you to enter into the other realms of existence. Meaning that it is impossible for you to have the experiences of the spiritual realm that actually becomes a mirror or an introduction to who you were created to be.
Yeah.
That makes it extremely difficult for balance to be brought to the earth, but it also makes it extremely difficult for you to have respect for the powers that is the essence of life in the earth, and that is femininity itself. I'm done. Does that resonate? I should ask.
Yes.
It does.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
I think if you've been paying attention to Donald Trump's 250th celebration spectacular or whatever, it's basically a complete failure. And I think that just indicates the fact that this is the end of the sort of selfish, spiritually disconnected, uh, domineering, sort of masculine, European Neanderthal mindset, etc., in the earth, and that the United States is and has been for a long time at the apex of that.
Yeah.
And this is its uh, and perhaps not the beginning of the end, but a clear indicator that it is over. And because we don't, well, I think it is in place. The thing that needs to take its place is in place in its perhaps infancy. But in general, in terms of mass, in particular in the United States, consciousness, people don't know what's supposed to come next. And that is where the spiritual underlayment comes in to support the emerging consciousness of what is supposed to come next. And it is if you've been paying attention to politics in New York, just as an example, and there's a lot of female candidates that have been elected who are more socialist. And we don't have to get into the political nature of it all, but it's the return of the purposeful and sort of feminine consciousness or awareness that is intent on and purposefully using its energy to heal, to rebalance, and to secure this more stable and harmonious path forward. Of course, it still will meet resistance, but I think what we're seeing are these indicators of this shift happening. And it is happening quicker and quicker. And it does not slip by me that one of the sort of first indicators of this shift was Zoran getting elected. Zoran is that's a Zoroastrian name. And Zoroastrianism is just, all sort of religious, mystical, spiritual, consciousness-based systems go through a cycle. At their peak, they are connected to the creator and spirit, and then they descend into sort of religiousness. But I can't see this as anything other than a return to something that in the past was diverted onto a more, let's say, negative timeline. And this seems to me like a return or a correction to something that is on a more positive and harmonious path. Anyway, I just think we'll keep seeing this acceleration of the desire to return to harmony. And we'll keep seeing the acceleration of the sort of decline or the falling apart of any system that is based in essentially disconnected, selfish ego, as exemplified by the the religious men of the time period that we live in, and I include Trump in that, because religion doesn't have to be sort of about religion per se, but it's whatever you worship that is an illusion, that is stands in the way of you and reality.
Nick, see what you said, that is that Trump is the essence of Christianity. And Christianity at church on Sunday is the robe that Trump wears to hide.
100%. It's just about money, or rather the worship of material reality.
That's it. I don't see a difference between the two. Yeah.
Which is funny because people say Trump is one of the first atheist presidents. Trump doesn't believe none of that stuff. And yet they try to force on him this image that he is, the one who will defeat the, communist armies of Satan, aka the liberals and everybody who believes that corporations should not have ultimate power. And yet at the same time, all the people he's best friends with are the ones who want to corporatize, financialize everything and put, literal microchips in your head in the case of Elon Musk. Like it's complete chaotic insanity. And it has nothing to stand on.
Yeah.
But the one thing that has to happen is, as I said, that spiritual underlayment must be strong in order to support the emergence of the shift in consciousness that we are living through at the moment. And I think we are seeing it occur in bits and pieces here and there, but it is increasingly accelerating. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Pastor.
Hey, Ron, when Nick was talking, I saw something from something called Mahogany Mummies.
Okay.
It says, ain't
Oh, what
nobody
now, Pastor?
celebrating being American.
Say it again.
Ain't nobody celebrating being American.
Okay.
We just like cookouts and fireworks.
Yeah, we just like hot dogs and
Yeah. I think it's the lightheartedness of it.
Yeah.
So, Ron, continuing what you were saying about us creating the heavens and the earth, right?
Yes.
With that understanding, that becomes an immense task and extremely telling about how important it is that we remain focused,
Yes.
but also we never forget who we are. And in remembering who we are, remaining focused, we are mindful that there is no lack and there is absolutely nothing that's ever been devised that can bring harm to you when you know who you are. The only thing that can damage you is what you embrace or what you fear. The moment that fear enters, we are stalled. And the question becomes, if you've been frozen by fear, or if you have lost your focus because you are experiencing what you call lack, then are you really continuing this journey of creating the heavens and the earth? Because if you are creating the heavens and the earth, then you are the source of courage and encouragement. But also, with you being the creator, it is impossible for you to experience lack in any way whatsoever. Because you're creating enlightenment, you're creating the consciousness, in the earth rather, which is enlightenment. You're creating that consciousness. And that consciousness is a determining factor of what is needed for the continued existence of humans in the earth. And that is determined by the divine creators, is it not?
It is.
And if fear is there and lack is there, are you truly recognizing yourself as being a divine creator? And that has to be responded to by each individual, even though we're doing it collectively.
Yeah. There was some part of this that I wanted you to expound on, because you have talked about enlightenment and the fluids in the body. When you talk about fear, when you talk about intense anger, what we don't recognize is you are influencing the fluids in your body. And when I say that, what I'm saying is you are influencing your effectiveness of who you are. You are also altering the rhythm and the vibration of who you are. So this is real. And of course, it's real. I shouldn't have even said that. But this is the effects of this can happen immediately if we allow ourselves to be fearful to move in that way. And it takes away our power. We think it takes away our power when we let our mind and our emotions get the better of us. So when I talk about the waters being separated, that is very real. And you are in control of that. This is all internal. And we are all in control of who we are. And when we come together collectively, that force is what makes us see the things that we see. You guys saw a picture of a young lady today, or we saw a picture of a young lady, and look at how that was dissected. Look at how it was dissected with the young lady that climbed the pole. We are no longer seeing words in a book so much as we are seeing the words that the rhythm and the vibrations bring us. So that is very real. I just want to kind of put that out there. We're at a different place. Does this resonate with you guys?
Yes, sir.
It does, yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's pretty much all I have. I think the Cosmic Mother is truly awakened, and we are where we're supposed to be. I do not think that we're here by mistake or some force of nature caused all this to happen that we are trying to repair. I think it's all spiritual.
Hey, Ron,
Yes, sir.
may I say that we have become aware that the Cosmic Mother is awakening us.
Yes.
We become aware of it. And the existence of those who are antithetical to righteousness is also aware of it. And that is why they call it woke.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I see that.
So, meaning that they're exactly, the only reason that you would make an effort to stop, to put people back to sleep who you are calling woke is because you're aware of your demise.
Mm. Yes.
I'm done.
Thank you. Unless unless there are questions or comments, I'm done as well. Anybody? Okay. Well, thank you. I hope it resonates with you. If you have questions, just jot them down or let me know tomorrow. Hope you have a great day.
Thank you. Guys, enjoy your day.
Take care,
Thank
family.
you, everyone.
On.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, guys.
Thank you, everyone.